Okay, we're going to talk about our macromolecules. The first one that we're going to discuss is carbohydrates. The four main macromolecules are carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. So let's go ahead and talk about the carbohydrates. What are they? They're organic molecules, meaning they contain carbon. They also contain hydrogen and oxygen. And all carbohydrates have a specific ratio of 1 to 1. You're not going to need to know that for the EOC, but you will need to know what they do. The main purpose, the main function of carbohydrates is for energy storage and structure. You know from our photosynthesis study that plants create carbohydrates, or glucose, from the energy from the sunlight and other molecules, and these carbohydrates are then used to store energy, or they are used to make up the actual plant. So everything from bark to the leaves to the soft tissues inside the plant, they're all made from carbohydrates. Some of them are structural and some of them are for energy. The three types of carbohydrates are monosaccharides, which is just simply one monomer, so one of those carbon rings that we talked about in the last set of notes. These are called simple sugars. Now, if you take a couple of these simple sugars and you link them together, you get a disaccharide, and these are regular sugar. A polysaccharide becomes more complex. So you have three of these monomers, or monosaccharides, all hooked together to create starches, which is a polysaccharide that's found in plants, and glycogen, which is a polysaccharide that's found in humans. Now, the more complex the polysaccharide, the more complex the carbohydrate. So monosaccharides, we don't really need to know any of the ratios, but we do need to know what glycogen is. This is an example of a polysaccharide that's found in animal cells, or some animal cells. Specifically in humans, it's stored in our muscles, and it's stored in our liver. And it's a highly branched chain of glucose. So we've got the glucose monomer that's all, and we string them all together, and we store this glycogen in our muscles and in our liver, so that if we've gone a couple of days without eating, or a couple of, it would have to be a day or so without eating, and your body will start to break this down for quick energy. Starch is an example of a polysaccharide that's found in plants, and cellulose is as well. Starch is a highly branched chain, or a single chain of glucose made in plants, and it can be used for energy storage or structure. If you think about a potato, the starchy, fleshy part of the potato is all starch, and in the case of the potato, it is actually energy storage. This is how the plant makes it through the winter. The tops, the green leafy parts of the potato plant, die out in the fall, but that potato, that storage of energy, hangs around until the next spring, where it can be broken down and used to create a new potato plant. Cellulose gives strength and rigidity to plant cells. This is what makes up 50% of wood and why it's so strong. And it's a polysaccharide, so it's many simple sugars linked together. So, our test for carbohydrates. We have two tests. We have a test for the simple sugars and then a test for the complex sugars. So, testing for simple carbohydrates, we're going to add the Benedict's solution to the food, and then we're going to put it in a water bath, and that means we're going to put it in a test tube and put it in boiling water for about 3 to 4 minutes. If there are simple sugars present, then the heated mixture will turn a rusty brown or orange or reddish orange color. Testing for complex carbohydrates, such as starch and cellulose, you add iodine to the food. Gently stir it up if it's a liquid. If not, you can simply place it right on the food. And if complex carbohydrates are present, then the iodine will turn a bluish, like a very, very dark blue to black color. It will not be brown, it will not be green, it will not be any other color, but a deep, deep, deep blue to blackish color. So, what to study? You need to know the structure of sugar monomers, like glucose, fructose, and galactose. Just be able to recognize them. Know the tests and what a positive result looks like. Know what carbohydrates do for you. They provide energy, and secondary, they provide structure for plants. And then give an example of plant sugars and animal sugars. The animal one is the glycogen. The plant sugars are things like glucose and fructose, cellulose, and starch.